Get it done.
Let's get into it. Obviously, this was most of the quotes that seems to be circulating come from Kevin Ioli's article with Deontay Wilder. And we're going to read some of the quotes from good old Deontay Wilder, now former champion. Oh, look at that picture, man.
Sorry, man.
Fucking Sauron.
Does it look that heavy? Does it look that heavy to you? Like, what is it made of?
Look, we're going to get to it. Like, even if it's 40 pounds, like that.
Although, quickly, there's a clip now circulating of him on Joe Rogan telling everybody how he trains in a 45-pound weight suit, a weights vest, virtually every time he works out.
Yes, hilarious. Quote from Deontay Wilder: "He didn't hurt me at all, but the simple fact is that my uniform was way too heavy for me." Wilder told Yahoo Sports by telephone. "I didn't have no legs from the beginning of the fight. In the third round, my legs were just shot all the way through. But I'm a warrior, and people know that I'm a warrior. It could easily be told that I didn't have my legs or anything. A lot of people were telling me, it looked like something was wrong with you. Something was. But when you're in the ring, you have to bluff a lot of things. I tried my best to do so. I know I didn't have the legs because of my uniform. I was able to put it on for the first time the night before, but I didn't think it was going to be that heavy. It weighed 40 some pounds with the helmet and all the batteries. I wanted my tribute to be great for Black History Month. I wanted to be as good. And I guess I put that before everything." Also, let's just read all of these quotes just so we can get over with it. "I'm upset with Mark Breland for the simple fact that we've talked about this many times." Speaking of the towel being thrown in. "And it's not emotional," Wilder said. "It is not an emotional thing. It's a principle thing. We talked about this situation many, many years before this even happened. I said, as a warrior, as a champion, as a leader, as a ruler, I want to grab my shield. If I'm if I'm talking about going in and killing a man, I respect the same way. I abide by the same principle of receiving. So I told my team to never, ever, no matter what it may look like, to never throw the towel in with me because I'm a special kind, blah, 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 blah." Speaking of Breland again, "I understand that he was looking out for me and trying to do what he felt was right, but this is my life, my career, and he has to accept my wishes." Sure. And speaking of the referee told me specifically that if I hit him in the back of the head or hit him on the break, he'd disqualify me, Wilder said. But I guess that was only directed toward me because he allowed Fury to do those things. That's the one thing that bothered me of everything. And then he finished it with, "I'm super happy for Tyson Fury. I really want to give him my complete congratulations. He's had a lot of great accomplishments in his career, and this is right there with all of them. I'm very excited about this career and what he has done. He deserves a lot of credit." Rob, where do you want to begin?
Well, for a start, if you're going to heap praise on Fury at the end and say he deserves a lot of credit, don't say the shit you said before that statement, because that is taking away all the credit, because you've got a list of excuses to take the credit away from Tyson Fury. Bottom line, you got beat up by the better guy, and you weren't able to do anything during the fight to change the course of that fight. And yeah, you've come out with all these excuses, thus not giving Fury any credit. You're basically saying, had these things not happened, I would have won the fight. So yeah, that isn't giving now any credit at all.
That I agree with that as well. I think it's a little bit hypocritical to give a list of excuses and then say, "Hey, but this, I want to give him complete praise." Well, you're not. Like, if you just said, "I want to give him praise," that's fine. Like, that would actually, semantically speaking, probably be correct. But then you said complete. 3/4 of your statement here, Deontay Wilder, if to break it down by topic here, is to discredit Fury's win, which I think is largely due to his strategic changes from the first fight to this fight. And I want to get to something that's off. I was talking to a good listener, Heath, on social media a lot the past, I think, day or two about this, and just something that's been on my mind. These excuses don't become really an issue until he then fires Breland, he keeps JD's, and he makes no adjustments. If those three things happen, then these excuses become more substantive. if this is just him wanting to go out into the public and, you know, due to ego, wanting to push back on him losing, but then let's say in private or just in camp period, he keeps Mark Breland, let's say adds a third eye to the camp, whoever that may be, and somebody that we all respect, right? And actually makes adjustments. You know, that's something that he talks about. He talks about making technical adjustments, strategic adjustments, and then is transparent to a degree to the public so that we can see he's making those changes. If that happens, then these excuses really don't matter. But I find that highly unlikely that that's going to happen. I do think that I still think, as I've been saying since Saturday, that Mark Breland's probably going to be fired. He's going to keep JD's, and little to no tactical adjustments are going to be changed for the rematch. And those that are adjusted will be from JD's, who I like. I think he's a nice guy, but I don't find him as a strategic mastermind of the sport. You know, he's a good mind of the sport, but not a guy that I can see sitting down, watching the tape, and then saying, I can now craft a game plan, and now I can apply that game plan into training methods, and then actually mold Deontay Wilder to fit this new strategic goal. I don't see him doing that. I see somebody else needing to come in, even above Mark Breland to a degree. I don't think Breland is up to par for this. And even if he is, the now obvious rift between the two, I think will probably mean that even if Breland's given all of the control to craft the game plan and craft the training, it won't matter because there's now a rift between the two that will be hard to go past now heading into rematch 6 months down the line, whenever it is. Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I think Breland, I don't think he'll remain in the camp. And I really don't think JD's is the guy to go forward with it. Like I said on the show, I think it was on Monday, that I just feel JD's in every interview I saw always wound up back to the right hand. He's just got to land the right hand. And I just don't see that there's necessarily a game plan. They might have talked about be patient, don't go looking for it all the time, wait for the opening rather than, go swinging constantly. But other than that, I just don't think there's plan A. And if that's not working, it's keep trying plan A until it happens. There's no B or C or, oh, he's switching to southpaw. If that's the case, do this. Oh, he's pressuring. Oh, he's slipping off to the right. Or I don't think there's any other. It's land that right hand. The referee thing, you could say Fury was, a little rough, a little dirty, but it's a boxing match. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything in there that warranted instant disqualification. If that was actually said to him backstage about hitting behind the head, you'll be disqualified. Did he mean if there's one shot, or if you repeatedly? I think there's some context missing out.
We all know. We all know what it means. Like, we're not like, why do we all watch boxing? We know that has never happened ever in a championship fight. If you're clinched up and you're moving heads like that, and you get a rabbit shot beyond the head, that you're disqualified. That's never happened before. Don't play us for being naive. We're not naive here.
And let me tell you, you don't suddenly do it in a room with 10,000 travelers, because that stadium probably wouldn't still be standing. But
and just to add to that, not totally to that, but side topic to like the costume, back to that. Like I said this before, he's a high level athlete. He's on record saying that he trained strength and conditioning with a 45-pound weighted chest, vest. Thank you, on him. And to act like putting on a costume and walking 100 yards, 100 meters, right, for a European audience, like, is any big deal for him? No, it's not. Wilder, you got hit. You didn't technically adjust. And, I made a post out there on social media, I think it was yesterday or the day before, asking for like people like, hey, if you're in there with Wilder, to readjust in training camp, what do you tell him to do? How can he fix his game? What can he apply to the rematch to actually win? Iso, who's a good listener to the show, said, "Be first. Don't let Fury dictate with his jab, and also don't lean back to avoid Fury's jab." I agree with that completely. In the first fight, he was pawing. He was parrying the jab. This time, he leaned back. Don't lean back. Also saw somebody else say KO Fury early, and I agree with that as well. That he will lose the cardio battle. So even if a couple random people online can think of a couple smart things to adjust, I guarantee you, Freddie Roach, Ronnie Shields, Ben Davison, a lot of people could come up.
Was that the one?
With game plans. Okay.
Oh my God.
With game plans to beat Tyson Fury. And on top of that, to apply training methods in a camp to actually fix your issue. You know, like that's a huge aspect. It's one thing for me to sit here and like recognize an issue. It's an entirely different thing if I were to come up with physical exercises to train that. That's a different mindset to have. I don't really have that. I'm not an expert like that to come up with actual training exercises to fix some of Deontay Wilder's issues. But guess what? There is plenty of people out there that can. And I don't think J. Diaz is one of them. I don't think Mark Breland is one of them, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think Breland should just go anyway. Just
And the one that is Ben Davison. You know it, Rob. You know it, Rob. Don't deny it. Okay, hold on. Don't deny it. Don't deny it. Okay. Ben Davison would be the perfect trainer for Deontay Wilder right now. When it happened, it's complete fantasy, and it's coming from a Rocky movie. But if you want somebody that we have seen in terms of transparent public footage that has applied great physical exercises to train and adapt a fighter, technically speaking, to apply defensive strategy, he is one of the best right now, especially from a younger perspective. He is one of the best. And Wilder needs someone like that. If it's not Ben Davison, it needs to be someone like him.
Yeah, if there's the clone out there, not the actual one, because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, someone like that. Yeah, that's right. But to me, is Wilder the kind of guy to accept that he's not that guy? Because I've seen interviews. He thinks he's got this great left hook. He thinks he's got this great uppercut. He thinks he's got this great body work. He thinks he's got this great. And I just don't think I'm alone in thinking that he hasn't got that. And I don't want to sound like I'm so harsh on it, but the whole thing about Wilder's always been he's just technically not great, but he hits like fuck. And when he lands, that's usually it. Well, it didn't happen. So therefore, what you fall back on then, fundamentals, things like that, he hasn't got them. And I've seen people say, oh, well, he wouldn't have won an Olympic bronze medal if he hadn't got fundamentals in this. I don't necessarily think that's true, to be honest. But or whether he's just fallen out of that in the pro game, he's then gone knockout, and he's neglected a lot of stuff that he maybe did pick up in the amateurs or did know back then. But I don't know if Wilder's too prideful to accept that he needs this wholesale change or sort of major tweaks, if you know what I mean. Just quickly on the Durrell thing. Apparently Durrell was behind Mark Breland, pleading with Breland to stop the fight. Was it stop the fight, throw in the towel, we love our champion? And because Durrell is a Kronk fighter and Breland was a Kronk fighter, there was some kind of conspiracy to throw the towel in. Diaz was telling Breland not to do it. Shelley Finkel apparently yelled at Mark Breland not to do it. The fact that Shelley Finkel mustered up enough energy to yell is quite, shout out to Shelley for that one. I don't think he's got a yell in him, but it just seems to me in that whole team, Mark Breland is the only one that legitimately cared for Wilder in a true sort of like, I don't know. Mark Breland's been a fighter. J. Diaz hasn't been a fighter. Shelley Finkel hasn't been a fighter. And it's as if they, I don't know, saw money like dripping. Wilder was picking up his check. It's not like
I don't know about that. JD's and Wilder have known each other for
So why wouldn't you want the towel thrown in? I get the whole, but this is what Deontay wants and stuff. But you're supposed to. A trainer's job isn't to be brave.
I will give JD's the benefit of the doubt for this thing, to stand by your fighter publicly. Who knows what he said privately? I don't give him issue for that. I don't. I'll be honest. Should he have thrown in the towel? Yeah, but someone did. It was Mark Breland. The issue I have with the situation is more from Wilder being upset by it. JD is going to back his fighter and back his man, because I get that to a degree. And again, I don't know what he's saying privately. Well, I know JD's enough to a degree to, I can see him responding privately to Wilder differently. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess. But it's just as absolutely.
These aren't evil men. Like, Charlie Finkel isn't an evil guy. JD's isn't an evil guy. Let's not like push that narrative that for fanboys to rally up and say, oh, these guys are evil, they're money hungry. No, that they did not see it as dangerous as Mark Breland. Mark Breland saw this as a dangerous fight in those 5th, 6th, 7th round, right? Like he as a fighter, as you described, probably knew this was getting too far. JD's wasn't a fighter. Charlie Finkel wasn't a fighter. It's not due to them being evil and wanting money. It's just knowledge. If you've taken blows, if you've been hurt, you know when someone else has been hurt. You get what I'm saying?
I guess, but if you can't see that from like literally ringside, then I don't know. I haven't been in the game as long as Charlie Finkel. I might look it, but Finkel's seen.
And again, but you're only taking their public stance. Who knows what they're saying privately? And Charlie Finkel's been around for 50 years in the sport.
Yeah, no. I mean,
let's go. Like these aren't evil guys.
I don't mean it as in they're evil guys. I'm just saying, like,
they're not Don Kings. Like Don King will just want it for the money. You know what I mean? Don King will let a fighter go out to die just for the money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think JD's and Charlie Finkel are that type.
No, I don't mean like let him die and stuff like that. But I just don't. Why I don't know why Finkel's yelling at Breland, don't throw that towel in, like at the actual time of it happening. And apparently Jay Diaz has shoved Breland back at the back. I think Dan Raphael's reported that in his after his story, or he's heard or he saw himself. There was JD shoving Breland. I mean, Breland looks, I don't know, it looks kind of a frail old man to me, but I don't know. So this whole, like, where's the team?
They lost. They're all going to be emotional. They're all going to have different opinions. Like, I don't see that as an issue. Like, a team not...
Win as a team, you lose as a team. That's all I see it. But
it's your first big loss in the biggest fight of your career. Of course, emotions are running high 5 seconds after the knockout. Like, I don't understand why this is an issue. Like I said, same with, like, the excuses. Like, that's not the issue. If Wilder doesn't adjust in the camp for the rematch, that's the issue. That is the end-all, be-all.
Yeah, no, I get,
right. Because he can say all this shit. They can have all these riffs in the camp. But if he makes the adjustments, if he adjusts accordingly, adapts to the rematch and fights better, even if he loses, let's just say he fights better, then it's a good sign. And all this doesn't really mean much. It's just public pom-pom waving to a degree. And that's... And come on, Rob, you've been in this industry long enough. Like, you know, a large degree of the public statements put out by fighters, managers, advisors, promoters is all for pom-pom waving to a degree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I just don't like the whole situation of it. Like, to me, like I say, you lose as a team. You take the good with the good and the rough with the rough. You take it away, deal with it internally. But maybe it's
from our understanding, they did. Dan Raphael was behind the back, and
no, I mean, and then the coming out publicly with information of certain things, about, I'm not happy with Breland. I've told them before, if this happens, there's consequences, and I don't know. I just think it's a bad look, like on a PR front. Like this.
I did not disagree with that. But what I'm saying is, I agree with that. It's a bad PR look. Of course it is. But I don't think it matters. Like that, like this, these riffs is not what's largely going to matter. Is Wilder's ego too big to adjust? That's like the end all be all, in my opinion. And I don't think it will. I don't think he will adjust, like I've said time and time again. But he's still, largely speaking, owed the chance to adapt, as all champions are owed when they lose. I would say, especially long reigning champions. You know, I think we all wanted to see the AJ Ruiz rematch to see if AJ can adjust to the inside pressure from Andy Ruiz, and he did. Now, obviously, Andy did dip off to his own degree in the rematch, and that led to that fight looking the way it did.
Well, he did have a 15-pound sombrero, so
yeah. Hey, man, as you know, weigh a lot. I think Wilder can absolutely adjust. The statement or argument that he can't adjust is just wrong. Will he is the argument, because he absolutely can adjust. He can make changes to his strategy, to his technique in camp to adjust better to Tyson Fury for a trilogy fight. Does he is the question. Does he is the debate.
In the short amount of time that he's got as well. You know, that's the...
You know, I was doing the math. It's the same amount of time as AJ Ruiz. So I'm not too concerned, because that happened in April. This happened in February, right? So like, in terms of...
Yeah, but then again, that's down to can he not...
No. Absolutely. But you start speaking of timing. I don't think time's...
maybe. But
he has 7 months, give or take. 6 months. If we're looking at an August date, you know, push it back to maybe September, you're looking at 8 months. That's completely reasonable to make adjustments. If he, let's say, brings about, again, Freddie Roach, Ronnie Shields, Andre Rozier, you know,
I don't think Ronnie Shields is going to get the call. He kind of really went in on everything.
I'm just naming good.
That
I think could actually sit down with Wilder and adjust his game.
Derek James, do you think? What about Kenny Porter as far as inside work?
Ooh, Kenny Porter, that's a random throw. I like that. I don't. They would not be my first call, either one of them. I think they're pretty similar in what they could probably deliver, because I've seen both of them train.
But what they deliver, does it help Wilder in that sense?
Would it be better than his current situation? Yes, absolutely. Even Kenny, I think even Kenny. But are they better than the names I mentioned? Probably not. I'm trying to think of some other trainers.
Well, George Foreman came up. So what about, like I said, pre-show, Lennox Lewis? No. Get that whole he hates AJ hates Lewis thing going on, helping the American. Spicy, right?
Who was another trainer I saw that was mentioned? Was it Lennox's old trainer? God, I saw some other people mentioning trainers. I forget the names escaping me, but there's tons of people he could go to and switch up and adjust. And I think he can adjust. Like, and I saw somebody say, "Can he adjust enough?" I think he can. Like, I don't see him being a complete like goner now. Like the wheels are not off. Like Deontay Wilder will not now lose to every top 15 heavyweight. So that's just not going to happen. He's beaten a couple top 15 heavyweights, guys. Like, that's just not going to happen off rip. Now, could certain top guys take game plans and strategize based off of this Tyson Fury performance? Absolutely. Andy Ruiz, Joe Miller are names that I mentioned specifically. Like, I can see adapting Fury's game plan perfectly. Adam Wanaki, even to a degree. Guys that are pressure fighters, guys that are inside fighters, they're going to give Wilder some issues naturally. But Wilder has the tools, both from a power standpoint, from a size standpoint, and already from a pure base technical standpoint. You can build something off of him easily. And I just think it takes people that aren't JDs and Mark Breland. Sorry. I think he's maximized all he can do with those guys. And he did that 5-8 years ago. You know? I'm not saying they didn't do great stuff with Wilder. They didn't build him into a bronze medal winner in the Olympics. They didn't build him into a world champion. They did. But he clearly maxed out his whatever potential with them some time ago. Now it's time for a fresh look. I think all fighters need a fresh look at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. People felt like, like Ruiz too. like there was a patience about him. Like he started to, like there was a bit more measured about that right hand. But again, if that hadn't have come off, he was like 6-0 down, right? There just needs to be some kind of change. But
you mean Ortiz, right?
did I not say Ortiz?
I think you said Ruiz.
Oh,
Maybe I misheard you. It's possible.
Ortiz too.
No, you're right about that. No, you're right.
Yeah, so there was like this new sort of patience. He wasn't headhunting and really going for it. It was, looking for openings, looking for and then delivered. But
the funny thing is that adjustment to be more patient, more composed, sort of keep that arm out there as that measuring stick more, that directly hurt him in this fight.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, like he couldn't adjust from that at all.
And what happens? He used to have quite a hurtful jab, but he's almost gone to sort of hanging it out and flicking it a little bit, and like I don't know.
I think Fury was really good about not letting Wilder be comfortable throwing the jab, if that makes sense.
Hard backwards, right?
Yes and no, but I would say
to be forceful with it. I mean,
yes, to be forceful with a jab going backwards is hard. No, you're right about that. But you can still, really efficiently use a jab on the back foot. Actually, obviously most defensive boxers use that.
Yeah.
But the problem was that Fury, the way he was feinting, the way he was slipping off the side, his lateral movement constantly. If you're Wilder, you can't really get a read on that, especially in the first round or so. And when you're Fury and you're jumping on him to that degree, so you don't have sort of the window to throw the jab. You don't have the placement to throw the jab because he's moving so much, he's feinting so much, and you're now worried about the right hand counter because now you're thinking about him coming inside, and I'm thinking, no, I can't throw the jab. I got to throw a right hand down the pipe to stop him. So you give up on the jab, and then damn, Fury is right there on you and throwing combinations. The feinting was more at work to take away the jab.
Yeah,
of Wilder than anything.
I know they worked. I think there's some videos online for this camp for this fight, and Wilder had dots, and it was to try and negate not necessarily even trying to jab his head, like the chest, like that is going to be the most sort of part that isn't moving so much. Like the center of that will only move a little bit, whereas the head can go, a lot further in distance. So they did try, but I don't know whether just Fury's tactics completely threw him off the fact that, do what we done in training, like the dots, aim for the red dots or something. It was just gone like, oh shit, this guy's coming at me, and just pushing me back and changed everything. But
go back and watch, because I did this yesterday and I was blown away by the tonal difference in the fight, or the second Ortiz fight, right? In that first round, just watch the first round and the first round of Fury 2. There was no time for Wilder to adjust. There was no time, just none. But we have to move on just for the sake of time. We've been on this for a while. Still on Wilder Fury, just a brief mention of this because ESPN's Dan Raphael and Steve Kim are reporting this, that Las Vegas is Allegiant Stadium, the new home of the Las Vegas Raiders, could possibly host Fury Wilder trilogy. And I got to say, that stadium does look amazing. It's the Death Star. Just got to say that.
You think they can fill it for this trilogy after how the second fight went down?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
I'll put it this way: like Mayweather McGregor 2 is still a massive fight. Mayweather Pacquiao 2 is still a massive fight. Those fights were both their own notorious clusterfuck of bullshit. This was a great fight. Like casuals love this. Like was it you or Gary that asked that on the Monday show? Like, if you're a casual, would you find this entertaining? Every casual I've talked to has been in love with this matchup in this fight. Like they want to see it again. Like this has definitely transcended to the casual consciousness now of pop culture, zeitgeist, whatever you want to call it. Like it has transcended us. And once it does that, it can always be big to a degree.
Okay.
And now I don't know if they're going to fill it because what's 100,000 seater, but they could do maybe 50,000, 60,000. That's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
And that would still look pretty full and still be the biggest arena show for boxing, at least since Canelo Trout? Was that the Alamo Dome and that did like a lot? Or was it Pacquiao Margarito? That was at, I think,
Mikey did like 45 something, didn't it?
Did that beat Pacquiao Margarito though?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
It'd be big though. It would be big.
It would be big. I think it'd be bigger than that, for example. Even without having like the Hispanic, draw in a Hispanic, state.
Good chance of cheaper pricing as well.
Yeah.
When you start increasing the gate, the size available. So,
and it would still do a monster gate too.
Oh yeah.